Well, hello there. As some of you may know, for today's video I once again ran a poll for my subscribers to choose the next topic. And my oh my, Deadpool and Wolverine were toe to toe against each other at all times, constantly getting ahead bit by bit. So I decided I'll just have to do both one after the other. And as you can see, today we're starting with Logan. Now, some of my longtime fans, well, you know, the ones who've been here for a few months by now, know that I've made a Wolverine video before. That video went over early X-Men games all the way back in the 80s and 90s, and it's more than an hour long. That's because early X-Men have like 15,000 games, and I thought it was cool to play through them all, but if you want to look at some of the earlier and first Wolverine games ever, that's the video for you. I might have gone into too many details on that. Today though, I'm doing my modern format and finally completing the circle. We're finally gonna play as Wolverine in every video game possible. Let's get to it. First up, we've got main titles, meaning the games on PC and consoles with official playable Logan. And I want to start with Marvel Ultimate Alliance, our regular here. Logan is an amazing character with all of his abilities intact, including a bunch of costumes that I have to admit, I modded a couple of them in, but I want my Wolverine to look HD, okay? He can leap on enemies, stab enemies, perform normal claw attacks, and he can hype himself up and increase his attack speed. His ult is also a feral leap that does a lot of damage. Overall, mostly a basic kit, but it will work in this game and I often keep Logan here just because he's a good character. Regardless of Wolverine, if you never played this game, it's a must, just like for every other character and story it has. And I said it many times before, so I won't go too much into details this time. Moving on though, at the same time as Marvel Ultimate Alliance was out, we also received the infamous Marvel EA fighting game called Marvel Resident Imperfects. And I'll be the first to admit I've given this game some crap in the past, so I feel like I need to do some justice here. Because Logan in this game is actually pretty good. His main spiel is basically the fact that he attacks without claws. But then, once you build up enough energy and rage, you pop them up and do more damage. This makes him a unique character where you basically have two playstyles that you can interchange, and I always like that. In my opinion, one of the more fun champions of this game, so I'll give them some props for that. Now the next game I'm gonna cover is my first personal gaming experience with Wolverine, and boy the nostalgia is hitting hard, okay? We have X-Men the official video game, and I loved it at the time. First of all, it does something I love what games do. It doesn't just tell the story from the movie or adapt it. No, it tells a completely different story that takes place in between the second and the third movies and explains multiple things that happen in The Last Stand. Like for example why Nightcrawler never appeared in the third movie, so it's actually interesting to play and see what happens. Second, Wolverine feels good here. There's a light and heavy attack, you can combine them into different combos, blocking, dodging, and of course Berserk mode are also here, and when you start doing a lot of damage, you can actually leap on enemies and stab them up close. The regeneration mechanic is here too, but you need to take a break and pull the claws back to do that. The game itself is also pretty challenging, I won't lie. There are a lot of enemy types that can block, evade, attack, and overall just give you a challenge. And once again, I think it's a decent game for its time. If you're a fan of the original X-Men movies, it's a must play in my book, because you're basically missing a part of the story at this point. Now, moving on, a couple years pass and we get the long-awaited sequel to Marvel Ultimate Alliance in 2009, and Wolvie is a little less fun here in my opinion. He's a bit more speedy, feels a bit more clunky, but overall just does the same thing with lunging and leaping attacks, having healing factor at all times by default. One cool thing to note that the other game did not have though is you can perform team-up moves, so you can have a good old fastball special as well. Other than that, nothing too crazy. However, in the same year, it just so happens that we somehow reach peak. That's right, ladies and gents, we get ourselves an X-Men Origins Wolverine, a game that surprisingly slaps pretty hard, much harder than the movie it's based on. I'm sure most people are aware, but I'll go over why it's good. First of all, unlike the movie, the game is actually brutal. It lets you feel what it's like to be a Wolverine and has some blood. Logan attacks fast, vicious, he feels dangerous, relentless, and makes sure none of his opponents walk out alive. There are plenty of new moves, combos, and upgrades you could unlock, and I'm not even talking about new costumes, that is just a cherry on top. Now for the second reason why I love it, in my opinion, it's the story. The game takes what the movie had and once again expands on it, adding a lot more to both the Operation Task Force X and the modern plot of Wolverine chasing for his revenge. We also have cameos that never appeared in the movie, which is another cherry on top. Overall, it's a good game. Now, does it have flaws? Yes, I think it does. In my opinion, the biggest one is the amount of puzzles they put into this game. Like, yeah, I understand non-stop action can get boring, but the amount of puzzles gets very annoying to me by the middle of the game at least. And every time I'm feeling the Wolverine spirit, I just want to fight more people, another puzzle pops up and I have to figure it out. The graphics could use a touch up too. I have seen better looking games in 2009. But other than that, the game is an absolute recommendation. And right now, at least until Insomniac finally releases the game, this might be one of the best Wolverine games out there. From here on out, a couple of smaller entries pop up. First up, we have Marvel Superhero Squad Universe, which I honestly did not know existed until someone in the comments enlightened me. We've got Marvel Superhero Squad, its sequel, the Infinity Gauntlet, and the online version. In the first two, it's basically a beat 'em up slash fighting game where Logan has a light attack and a heavy leaping attack. We also have a block, dodge, and jump. And while the first two games are basically somewhat decent single player adventures for kids, the online game was a social thing where little babies could log into emote and clear small stages together. I never played these as a kid though, and quite honestly, I could never take my superheroes on a PG-5 level.
Understand why Blondie needs new boots.
Well, it's Thor's birthday, and the squad all chipped in to do something nice for him.
Hope not in the clothes. One pair of rip pants is good, and one pair clean undies.
This might also be because I was introduced to superheroes through Spider-Man 94 cartoon, and that stuff goes freaking hard, okay? This kind of thing traumatizes you for life when you're a kid.
One thing, if any part of me is anything like the real Mary Jane Watson, she loves Peter Parker more than anything in the world. More than anything.
Another game that I think a lot more adults play is actually LEGO Marvel Superheroes, and Logan is a character here. He has claw attacks with unique animations, he is able to target multiple enemies at once and leap between them. He also has a chance to use his sniffy nose and find invisible targets, which is a neat little detail. This game I did play as a kid quite a bit and really enjoyed it. It's a very solid game. Sadly, Logan never made it to the sequel because of the rights war, but he was in the first game, and he's a good character here. Moving on from this era, we get our return to the fighting games, and we've got gems here. Well, only one actually. Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate. Logan never made it to the Infinite game too, just like the sequel of the Lego game, because, well, Marvel kinda hated X-Men at the time and started killing them off due to the rights war again. Anyways, Wolverine quite honestly really feels good here, to the point where I kinda woke up after the squad games and got engaged again. Logan feels like a fast-paced, jumpy chainsaw, where he's just flying around and the claws are flying everywhere with him. Like seriously, he feels really good here. I don't play fighting games often, but god damn, it was nice being Wolverine in this game. And after a couple of matches, I went ahead and started looking up his controls to learn combos and stuff. And it turns out, it just so happens that the community considers him as one, if not the best character in the game because of his insane speed. So yeah, if you want to claw your way through everything, this might be a game to do it too. Now from here on out, Wolverine started disappearing from games more and more, and the last game at the time with playable Logan was Marvel Heroes Omega. The Diablo-style game I've covered quite a bit, and I'll be brief this time. Logan is of course a melee-focused hero who is all about building up his fury, which he uses to power up his abilities. He is good at handing out bleeds, leaping around, doing a decent amount of damage, and of course heal himself. He is a pretty nimble guy here, and honestly feels pretty good in my opinion. My mains in this game are still Daredevil, Punisher, and Moon Knight though, so I did not play as Logan that much. Finally, we have a third game in Marvel Ultimate Alliance series coming up, and Wolverine is back. Better than ever in my opinion. He's essentially a stun gauge destroyer here, and his whole shtick is about stunning enemies very fast, all while his attacks are very hard to interrupt, so he is more likely to get some damage in successfully than many other heroes. Overall, he's considered a very good champion, and you can confidently put him on your team. Once again, very strong recommendation for all Switch owners. Alright, as of now, we're done with the main title games, and it's time for us to take a little break and move on to the second section of this Marvel world, a much stinkier one, mobile games. First of all, we have Contest of Champions, and there are multiple Logans here. We have Classic version that is essentially an obsolete champ and only has two things going for him. He can stack a good amount of bleeds on his opponent and he can heal a bit mid-fight. That's it. Nothing else. His second version is arguably even worse, as we have a weird looking old man Logan. His whole shtick is the fact that he barely uses claws in the battle, but unfortunately that makes him the worst Wolverine in the game. And finally we have the best version, Project X. One of the best defenders of his time and is essentially a tank that can counter a lot of champions with an insane amount of damage and healing he gets. At times he's basically immortal and that's pretty cool, I won't lie. He's also heavily paywalled, so yeah, keep that in mind. The game does also have lore as a Wolverine being character, so I have to mention that, but she's actually pretty bad and unfortunately hasn't seen any play or buffs in like 10 years, so there's that. Moving on, we've got Marvel's Strike Force, and Wolverine is all about upping his own offense as he's healing at the same time. He can attack multiple targets for a moderate amount of damage, or a single target for a lot of damage, and in every turn, he either regains health or gains more damage to deal. Overall, very simple but can be effective for his time. Unfortunately, I don't own any other Wolverines in this game, so whoever does can enlighten people in the comments. Now as for Marvel Future Fight, Logan has a crap ton of uniforms, holy! We have a classic Wolvie, Age of Apocalypse, all new Marvel Now, X-Force, House of X, Phoenix, X-Devs, and finally Deadpool and Wolverine movie. And I won't lie, the amount of uniforms from comics pleasantly surprised me, but Logan himself though is just a flying claw machine. To the point of you losing sight of him while everything else on the screen is getting stabbed. It's not bad, but feels kinda lazy in my opinion. Ghost Rider's skills looked way cooler while essentially doing the same thing. Not the biggest fan of Logan here. Finally, we've got Marvel Snap, and this is the best Wolverine design in a mobile game in my opinion. To the point where I can almost recommend this game. Almost. It's still a mobile game. Essentially, Wolverine is a card that cannot die and always comes back after getting destroyed with more power. Now, how you play it is you combine it with his daughter X-23, who does nearly the same thing, you throw Deadpool into the loop, who does the same thing but better, and then you pile your symbiotes on top like Carnage and Venom, who destroy cards. This creates a self-eating loop that culminates in you having a very strong null at the end of the game, and I love this design. One of my most played decks and quite honestly, just really fun. Big ups to Marvel Snap for this idea. And with this, we're finally done with mobile games. And no, don't tell me in the comments about Marvel Future Revolution or Marvel Super War. These games are shut down. They cannot be played anymore until someone hosts fan servers like fans did for Marvel Heroes Omega. Okay? If these games are ever back, I'll definitely play through them. I did before, but I just didn't record it. Now that we shrunk off mobile stink, time to move to modern day Wolverine games. And sadly we don't have that many, but we can still have some fun. First up, Marvel Midnight Suns, and Wolverine is a pure bruiser here. He has two main things going for him. First off, he's a self-healing tank who taunts his opponents into attacking him because he will hit them back afterwards. Believe me, it will hurt them more. Second, he is good at going at multiple opponents and chain attacking, which is very helpful when dealing with many opponents. Overall, he is a very decent character to have on your team. He might not outshine some of the other champs, he doesn't have the highest damage or the highest survivability in the game, but if done right, he can be a very fun character to play as. Overall, this is once again a very underrated game, so I can strongly recommend getting it on sale for like $5 or less. Now moving on, we of course have Marvel Rivals, and Wolverine is definitely worth talking about here. Now hear me out, as soon as the game launched, I wanted him to be my main, no questions. And then I started playing as him and I realized one thing. I suck. I kept on dying, I kept on running away like a coward, and I could never for the life of me actually grab someone with his ability. It's like you have to breathe down their necks in order to touch them, I swear. So I kinda gave up, but then I saw that apparently he is extremely broken, at least in competitive gaming in this game. So I gave him another try, and I think I'm a little better now. I learned some new moves. I definitely enjoy playing as him, but he can never be my main. I just can't get used to this playstyle. But if I ever see a Lord Wolverine against me, I will probably run away. And with this, we're done with Wolverine's official appearances in video games. That's it. But I am not done yet. That's right. For this guy, I'm diving back into mods because he has a couple I really like. First up, a hidden gem in my opinion. We're playing as Wolverine in Elden Ring. And believe me, it's actually fun. I've made my character to be Wolverine, though you can create his look almost ideally, either comic book variant or Hugh Jackman. Second, we grab a mod for the claws weapon to actually pop out of your hands, and we have that mod already. Finally, as a cherry on top, and that's optional, but there's quite literally a Wolverine abilities mod on Nexus. You get regeneration for your health, you get increased and better resistances, you also get more damage. And yes, with this the game does become easier, that's why I said it's optional, but quite honestly after that, we get an authentic Wolverine experience, and I kinda love it. And if you want an actual Wolverine suit, there's plenty of available skins as mods too, but I just kept him in whatever robes I found. I felt this to be more realistic. My second mod recommendation will of course be Batman Arkham. And yes, it's honestly a bit awkward for Wolverine to be here unlike Daredevil, Moon Knight or even Punisher, but in my opinion that is a good option still, because we simply don't have a better alternative than Batman Arkham games right now for this kind of combat. And with this, I believe we are finally done indeed. Oh, yeah, you can also buy yourself multiple Wolverine skins in Fortnite. Not forgetting you this time, buddy. Very nice skins. Okay, now we are actually done. Let's go over the final recommendations. First up, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, a classic series that still holds up well. Second, Wolverine Origins is an awesome and brutal game for the fans. Finally, Marvel Midnight Suns is another definite recommendation that I'm sure you will enjoy. Now for the optional games, we have the X-Men official video game if you're a big fan of the movies, then Marvel vs. Capcom if you're a big fighting fan, Marvel Rivals if you like to sweat in PvP matches, and finally Marvel Heroes Omega if you prefer your grind to be Diablo styled instead of PvP. And that's about it. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate your like and subscription. Next time I'm diving into Deadpool games as you might have guessed, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.